So do you and your friends have a medical plan for while you're on the range? If you don't, you should, and here's why. Alright, so you got our first aid kit. We already know first tourniquet is where? Thank you. Where's our first tourniquet? It's on my back, right? Next tourniquet is right inside of here. So we got a couple things that we're going to look at. First of all, a knife if we need it. Probably won't. Shears if we need to cut somebody's clothes off. So like let's say I'm shot in the middle of my chest. Y'all can't get to it because of my clothing. Take the scissors and literally cut open my shirts. Cut open my hoodie.
Spot?
What do you think? Of course, it's very lethal. It's right in the middle of your chest. So what do you have here?
Your heart.
What else? Lungs. Very good. What's below? Spinal cord, right in the back. Very good. So that's very lethal. Yeah, all of your vital organs are right here. So that is quick clot, right there.
What does that do?
Right?
Oh, wipes.
Not wipes. Blood clots. It causes blood clots. So instead of the blood being able to freely pour out of your body, you can clot it to stop it from coming out. Right? This same thing. Emergency trauma bandage. All right. We have our tourniquet in here, secondary tourniquet. We got gauze. This is the gauze.
Yep.
Right? Pads. We use these to apply pressure. We can use these to stuff wounds. All right? More padding. Seals. Everything is in here. All right? That's everything that we need right here. All right, Andy. Y'all remember y'all jobs. What's your job? What's your job? Apply first aid if you need to. What's your job?
Outside for the ambulance.
Outside for the ambulance, right? And we know we have 2 people assigned for each, just in case, right? And if I go down, what do y'all have to do? Y'all know what y'all have to do? Y'all do the same exact thing, as if I'm not even, as if I'm okay, all right? All right, show them. Bismillah. All right, y'all ready?
Yes.
All right, let's get these targets up. All right, guys, I'm Jabril Blackwell. The video that you just saw, that clip, was of me and a group of young boys between the ages of like 9 and 14. We were on the range and we were discussing our medical plan on if there was a medical emergency on the range, who was going to fulfill what role and who was their backup, so that we could have things move smoothly in the event that we needed to use it. Now, just a little bit of background on the group. It was our Jawala Scout group. 5 boys roughly between the ages of 9 and 14 were on the range practicing. And before we got to the range, we went over our medical plan. These boys have had, some first aid medical training, and we were going over our medical plan in case there was an accident on the range, who was going to do what, and making sure that everybody knew what their job is. They knew what their backup job was. They knew who the backup to their job was. In case somebody gets hurt, he's not able to fulfill his job, somebody else steps in his place and takes over. All right, like I said, these boys are between the ages of 9 and 14, okay? And I believe 4 out of the 5 of them were 9 and 10, and then we had one 14-year-old that happened to be with us that day. But the importance of a medical plan is the fact that in a situation where there's blood leaving the body, we have to understand that time equals life. Okay? Time equals life. The more time that you have, the more life that you have. The less time that you have, the less life that you have. And within that sense, the more time that you waste, the more life you waste. So when an emergency type of situation happens, a lot of times people freak out. Okay, it's natural, especially people who have had various experiences with traumatic type incidences, right? So when you formulate a plan ahead of time, in case of an emergency, a lot of times that helps us waste less time. It helps people they have an objective. Wow. They have an objective. They snap into it. They know what they're supposed to do. They know what their job is. Gives you less time wasted, gives you less life wasted. And ultimately, especially if we're going out with a group, friends, loved ones, to the range, we're going out there to have fun. We're going out there to plink, practice, things like that. We're not going out there to have a chaotic experience, but we still plan ahead just in case. So today in this video, I want to discuss with you guys 3 big parts of a medical plan and a possible 4th what every medical plan should have while on the range. Now, this isn't a template. This is a template. This isn't it has to be done this way type of video. All of this is just informational for your benefit, and hopefully you can find some benefit in this. Some people, they add to this, some people take away from it, but regardless, again, the point is that hopefully you find benefit. So, rule number one, or not rule number one, part number one, for your medical plan, all of these share equal importance, and it's not one is the best, fourth is the worst, anything like that. Number one, you want to assign somebody to call 911. Somebody who has a working cell phone, who can call 911 in the case of somebody being injured on the range. Okay? That person should not be focused on anything else at that point unless it's absolutely dire and necessary for them to do so, other than the 911 call. And that person alone should be in charge of calling 911, right? Shouldn't be 3-4 people calling 911 at the same time, or 3-4 people trying to speak into one phone talking to the operator. It just gets more confusing, equals more time wasted, equals more life wasted, right? So one person should have a backup in case that person is not able to do it. And when you call 911, the language to the operator should be along the lines of, there was a training accident at such and such range. This is our address. This is the area of the range that we're located at. The accident involved a firearm. Now, the reason that we use this specific language is because we want them to send ambulance as quickly as possible, send the help that's needed as quickly as possible. What we don't want to say is, hey, I got shot. Hey, I just shot somebody. Hey, there's been a shooting. Because in some instances, we know operators will withhold EMS to make sure there's no more shooting going on, and they might send in a SWAT team instead. And that's not what we want. We had an accident on the range that involved a firearm. We need an ambulance or 2 ambulances here as quickly as possible. This is the area we are. This is the range we're at, address, etc., etc., to get them there. And the person who is in charge of calling 911 should have this understood, that the language we're using is very specific to bring in the kind of help that we need as quickly as possible. All right. Number 2, you want to have a person or people in charge of administering first aid. Okay. You're talking about not only having people that can do it, but also having the proper materials that you need to administer first aid. We're talking about gauze. We're talking about tourniquets, chest seals, quick clot, bandages, things along that line, shears, a basic first aid, or not necessarily a basic first aid kit, but an IFAK, an individualized first aid kit. We'll probably do another video on how to set one of those up. But to have one of those with you and ready on the range is a good thing to have for sure. And people that are knowledgeable and trained in administering first aid. Now, depending on the range that you go to, some ranges have plenty of first aids around, some of them don't. It's always better to have something with you handy very quickly that's within arm's reach that you can get to, so that you can be able to administer it. Again, the more time that goes by where someone is bleeding out, the more life that's leaving. Right? And that's what we want to avoid. We want to keep the life inside the body as much as possible. So we want to have things that are readily available to us and people that know how to use them. All right, that's number 2. Moving on to number 3, you want to have people or a person waiting for the ambulance. All right, so, and this is more situation depending, of course, right? More situation specific. Depending on where you are, what kind of range you're going to. Some ranges, it's well off the beaten path, right? Other ranges are, some indoor ranges, sometimes inside major cities, very easy to see and get to. Regardless, you want to have somebody that's going to be able to be outside waiting for the ambulance to lead the EMTs directly to where you are, directly to the person that, needs that medical assistance. It's just easier that way rather than the EMTs having to find you, right? Again, the possibility of them knowing exactly where you are, depending on where you are, might be low. So, again, you want to waste less time. Have somebody, a person or 2 people, however many people you have available to do that job, waiting for the ambulance to get there so they can get to you as quickly as possible. Now, the 4th one, is very situation specific because it just depends on where you are and how many people are there, right? But you might want to have somebody in charge of crowd control, right? So that's somebody or people that are going to be able to disperse a crowd or keep people back, to allow the people that are administering first aid in there, and also to allow the ambulance and the EMTs to be able to get to that person that needs that medical assistance as well. Again, you don't want the EMT to have to spend 60 seconds pushing through a crowd of people trying to get to you. That's 60 seconds of time wasted, also 60 seconds of life lost, right? So again, that is, again, like I said, very situation specific, because it might just be you and 3 other people, and that's all the people that are there. At the same time, you might be at a range where there are 50 people shooting at the same time, or maybe a major event or something like that where there might be an accident, and you want to be able to have somebody assigned there to make sure there's crowd control. Hopefully you have, with the more people that are there, you have more people that are able to work with you. But again, you can't assume what people are going to behave like in an emergency situation. So that way, having a plan ahead of time already puts people in the mindset of being ready to go. I hope you guys found this information helpful. Hopefully it does benefit somebody who maybe never thought of having a medical plan before they go to the range with their friends, or even by yourself. This is beneficial knowledge for anybody that could use it. Again, guys, I'm new to the gun channel. Definitely all the support that you guys can give helps me a lot. So definitely like, share, subscribe to my channel. Go check out my Instagram, my TikTok. All of that information is going to be below and in my channel as well. Again, guys, make sure that you study, you act, and you repeat. All right? Take it easy. Have a nice one.